Hi, this is Margaret Newman with Mid-Columbia Fisheries Enhancement Group, and I'm going to be running through a presentation that was given by Jill Hardiman, fisheries biologist with the U.S. Geological Survey. And she gave this presentation as part of a public meeting held on May 17th in Husum. In 2012, Mid-Columbia Fisheries Enhancement Group received a grant from the Washington State Salmon Recovery Funding Board to do some salmon habitat conservation planning on the lowest 6 miles of the White Salmon River. And as part of the project, we contracted with the U.S. Geological Survey to do a salmonid habitat assessment study focusing on existing geospatial data available for the lower White Salmon River. This presentation summarizes that data and shows some preliminary results. This slide summarizes the primary goals for the Conservation Planning Grant. There are many varied interest groups in the White Salmon River, and several are listed here. There are multiple salmonid species listed under the Endangered Species Act, and they're shown on this slide. The abbreviations LCR, MCR are Lower Columbia River, Mid Columbia River, CR Columbia River. All salmonid life history stages occur in the White Salmon River. Each stage has specific habitat needs. Here is a brief overview of some of the specific salmon habitat needs by life history stage. The conservation planning area was focused on the lower 6 miles of the White Salmon River. The lines in yellow indicate tax parcels owned by Pacificor, who owns 500 to 600 acres of river corridor in the study area. As part of this project, Pacificor provided LiDAR data that was used as the basis for some of the analysis. LiDAR is a remote sensing technology that measures distance by illuminating a target with a laser and analyzing the reflected light. It was used in this case to obtain detailed elevation data for the study area. This slide is a general overview of the habitat characteristics in the lower White Salmon River. Using the LiDAR data, the USGS was able to create a surface digital elevational model for the study area. From this data set, USGS was able to create other data sets to aid in planning efforts, such as near shore slopes and water surface elevations. This slide shows a geospatial data layer indicating the degree of slope for the near shoreline surfaces up to the new river channel. The reds, oranges, and yellows indicate the highest degree of slope or steepest areas. Much of the lower river is in confined channels with steep walls. LiDAR data was used to create a water surface elevation geospatial layer for the new river channel. This information was used to determine changes in elevation and slope for individual reaches within the study area. Reaches were defined by changes in the habitat type, hydrologic inputs, tributaries, and changes in slopes. The reach delineations are depicted here for the habitat assessment. This slide shows the study reaches, including length in river miles and feet, as well as percent change in slope. The U.S. Geological Survey has detailed substrate data from a 2012 habitat survey in the first river mile from the mouth on up. This aids in looking at fish use in reference to available substrates, as well as providing information on the changes occurring since removal of Condit Dam. The USGS also has a two-dimensional hydrodynamic model for the lowest 1 mile reach, where velocities have been calculated and can be associated with fish use. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service performed red surveys for Chinook salmon during the fall of 2012. The purple diamonds indicate red locations from the lowest river reaches, left panel, up to the top end of the study area near Northwestern Lake Bridge on the right panel. The majority of the reds were found in the lowest 2 river miles. Reds were found above the former site of Condit Dam and in the area of Northwestern Lake. Additionally, reds were also found above the study area. This indicates that the entire study area is a migration corridor for adult salmonids returning and spawning and for juvenile outmigrants. During the fall of 2013, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife performed weekly red surveys in the White Salmon River. Their results were consistent with the results from the 2012 surveys in that the majority of reds overall were found in the lower 2.1 river miles. This map shows preliminary results from Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife for an overview of red locations from their 2013 surveys. Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife was able to monitor 3 different runs: spring chinook, springers, upriver brights, and tules. This map also depicts the red locations that occurred above the study area of the lower 6 miles of the river. This slide shows the study reaches in reference to spawning habitat using red densities as an indicator for suitable, preferable spawning habitat. Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife also supplied this graph, which depicts the timing of the 3 distinct runs of adult Chinook salmon returning to the lower White Salmon River. This slide summarizes some of the potential threats to current and future salmon habitat in the lower river, including the possibility of increased land development and river use. Here is a list of the current data gaps for the study area. The river is currently in a state of flux and will continue to change over the next 5 or more years. The map here illustrates the changes in the size and locations of gravel bars from 2012 to 2013. Here is a summary of main points from the habitat assessment. The lower White Salmon River provides good habitat for all life history stages of salmonids listed under the Endangered Species Act and present in these reaches. Some reaches are more suitable than others for particular life history stages. The river will continue to change over the next few years, especially with high water years, storm events, and the establishment of vegetation and the recruitment of large wood into the river channel. This last slide summarizes the next steps in the habitat assessment work. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.